Peregrine Laziosi was born in 1260 in Forli, Italy. He was the only son of a very affluent family. At that time, Forli was part of the Papal States, which were a group of territories that were led by the Pope. Peregrine and his family were opposed to this and supported the anti-papal side. As a child and into his teen years, Peregrine led a very pompous and worldly life. When he was 18, he joined the enemies of the Pope, taking part in rallies and protests against him. St. Philip Benizi, who was the prior general of the Friar Servants of St. Mary, was sent by the Pope to try to bring about peace and reconciliation between the two sides. One day, as he was preaching to the rebels, he was dragged down, beaten with clubs, and pelted with rocks by the angry crowd. Peregrine himself had a part in this too and punched Philip in the face, knocking him down. To his great surprise, Philip didn't fight back or even try to protect himself. Instead, he offered Peregrine his other cheek. As those scales had fallen from his eyes, Peregrine realized what he had done and was filled with remorse. He threw himself at Philip's feet and begged for forgiveness. In return, Philip granted forgiveness with a smile. From that moment on, Peregrine was a changed man and a staunch supporter of St. Philip Benizi. Converting to Catholicism and under the advice of St. Philip, Peregrine gave his life over to good works and spent most of his time praying in Our Lady's Chapel in the cathedral. While kneeling in the chapel one day, he had a vision of the Blessed Mother holding in her hands a black habit like the one the Servites wore. "Go to Siena," Mary told him. "There you will find devout men who call themselves my servants. Attach yourself to them." The Servites warmly welcomed Peregrine, and it was St. Philip himself who clothed Peregrine in the religious habit. Peregrine worked hard to become a better and holier man. He prayed and did penance for his past sins. It is said that he never allowed himself to sit. If truly tired, he would lean against a wall or a pillar. He practiced this penance for 30 years. Peregrine took care of the poor and sick and counseled them so well that the people began to call him the Angel of Good Counsel. After being ordained a priest, Peregrine went to Forli and founded a Servite monastery. There he became well known for his preaching and holiness and compassion for the poor. Miracles happened too. It is said that one time, he miraculously multiplied grain and wine during a severe shortage in the area. But the story of St. Peregrine is best known for is the miraculous healing of his cancerous leg. At the age of 60, Peregrine developed a sore in his leg that seemed to turn into an infection. His leg worsened, and the doctor determined that it would need to be amputated. Peregrine was resigned to God's will, but he also realized that an amputated leg would mean he wouldn't be able to walk around anymore, serving the poor and helping the sick. So the night before the operation, Peregrine spent the night hours praying before a picture of the crucifixion, asking for a cure. Exhausted, he fell asleep and saw a vision of Jesus descend from the cross to touch Peregrine's leg. The touch from Jesus woke Peregrine up, and taking the bandages off his leg, he found it completely healed. The news of the miracle spread throughout the town, increasing the people's belief that Peregrine was a saint. Peregrine kept good on his promise to continue to serve the sick and the poor and preach for as long as he was still able. He continued to counsel, and at times he was able to heal the sick just by whispering the name Jesus in their ear. Peregrine's time finally came on May 1st, 1345, from a raging fever. In his last moments, he asked that the Passion of the Lord be read to him, repeating with Jesus' last words, "It is finished." Sensing that death was coming, he asked to be carried to the church to attend one last Mass. Afterwards, he was carried back where he died. He was 84. An extraordinary number of people from the town and countryside honored his death, and a sweet supernatural fragrance reported near his body. Only 3 days after his death, miracles began to happen. A woman named Margarita was cured from a crippling arthritis after praying in front of his tomb. Another fisherman named Antonio who had gone blind due to an infection, had his sight miraculously restored after his wife prayed and put a piece of cloth that had touched St. Peregrine's body on his eye. A small child who was born with deformed legs was able to walk again after his parents brought him to St. Peregrine's tomb, begging for his intercession. So many miracles were happening that the superiors of the Servites began to document testimonies of healings through Peregrine. They began an investigation of the miracles, consulting physicians and questioning the people who were cured. As months passed, more and more people from surrounding cities heard of the miracles happening at the holy priest's tomb, and soon long lines were forming to pray to him. With all the miracles and testimonies recorded and sent to Rome, Peregrine was beatified in 1776, and he was canonized in 1926. To this day, many people still seek St. Peregrine's intercession for sickness, in particular from cancer, and many miracles still take place.